So, I was interested in development holistically from a very young age. A fundamental shift came about in the early part of about 2013, 2014, when my sister and I and a few others were, attended, one Mambolezi is too many of young people who we knew whose life was cut short by very preventable deaths, either drinking and driving, losing a life under the influence, and so forth. And we thought to ourselves, what can we do as young people, as leaders in society, to change this particular outcome? That's how the Youth Engagement Society was born. That's how another organization called Inspire Spaces was born. It was from this specific events. And we realized that, we may not be able to change everyone. And that's true. But, we can at least change this 207 that we've been working with, and know that there's a ripple effect that goes out for society. So what we do is we really focus on mentorship. So at first we provide educational scholarships. So with Inspire Spaces that my friend Davi leads, we have 207 students on scholarship in high school and in university.
Within the country?
Yeah, within the country.
Okay.
Right. Within the Youth Engagement Society, we have, this one now focuses largely on the mentorship, awareness, capacity building, training, and by linking people like you to young people. So we go in and we say, look, banking 101, this is what banking is. Because a lot of them can't even dream about banking because they don't know, right? They have a very either, twisted mindset of what a particular field is. So you find someone is like, I want to become a doctor. Okay, that's good and well, a medical doctor. But I'm squeamish around blood. And then you're like, okay, well, it's going to be very difficult for you to become a medical doctor, right? Because, but then you find out is that person doesn't fully really understand what a medical doctor entails. It's like, I'll tell you, I want to become a surgeon, but you're squeamish around blood. It's like, how are you going to become a surgeon if you're squeamish around blood? You're going to be cutting mannequins, right? So, so it's those type of things. And so what we do is that we bring now people from these areas, preferably young people, but they don't necessarily have to be, and we show them, look, this is what medicine is, this is what banking is, this is what this is, right? And not just from an introduction perspective, but even going deeper and helping them inculcate that particular mindset in terms of what they want to do. So then they can be like, okay, you know what? It's clearer. Or I wanted to become a doctor, but I'm really bad at anatomy and physiology, right? But I'm really good at this, algebra and stuff. I was like, maybe I heard about something called statistics. You can be a statistician, right? And so, you inculcate those things,
So on one side, you've got the pool of these young guys who are trying to build up what their aspirations look like. And on this other side, you've got then people who on voluntary basis want to become those mentors.
Yes.
And I pretty much spent a day with one of your mentees.
Yeah.
They see what this is like and all of that.
Yeah, so that's what we do at the Kenya Youth Summit. Of course, this one has been challenging because we had to do it virtually. But we had a whole section on networking. We had one on civic participation. So where we bring in and you define this. We had a few months ago a whole forum on entrepreneurship where we start off with the basic elements of what entrepreneurship, but by the time we're done, we're talking about intellectual property, patents, fundraising, and all these other things. So, and in fact, by the end of the forum, we were giving training certificates because we do them in coordination with the university. So we can actually say we have done a 1 week training on patents and intellectual property. So if someone is looking for someone to you can lift your hands. I know how to apply for a patent, or at least I know what a patent is.
Just curious, so how do you onboard the 207 that you've got?
So that one, we do it with the community a lot. So that's one of the other problems that we have in Kenya, right? In that you ask people who needs help, everybody including the ones who are able to do so. You're like, who should be helping, right? You have someone who's, bona fide. It could be even a banker like yourself who's like, oh, I can't put my kids through school. I need a scholarship, right? And, which is really sad. So what we do is that we work on the community to solve this moral hazard aspect. So we have a few, mainly in Makueni, Garissa, Rongai, Nairobi, and Machakos.
Right.
So we work with the communities. There are some schools that we have worked in hand with. So we have the community identify where the actual need is. Because if you have, Father Chula telling you, this is a need that we have. You have someone from the community reinforcing, you're familiar. And then we go in ourselves.
What about the volunteers who offer the mentorship? How do they engage with you guys?
That's actually the power of networking. So, the Bible says you have not because you ask not. So last time I just put out a call and I said, hey, who has degrees in public health that wants to impact young people? And I got 5 people who came on and tell them what we're doing. I was like, who is in engineering that would like to mentor young students who want to come in engineering? It's actually quite interesting with that. What we realized is that it's very difficult to raise funds because nobody wants to give money, which is fine. And actually, I would prefer rather than asking for funds, I ask for time commitment.
Time resources.
So I come to you and I'm like, can you give me 5 hours this month? Right? And even if I convert that to dollars or to shillings, it actually ends up being sometimes a lot more than you would donate. On top of it, people are passionate, right? I mean, who doesn't want to mentor?
Impact someone else. Right. So that opportunity is still open.
Yeah, that opportunity is open.
So how do guys get in touch if they want to do that?
Yeah, so they can contact us through social media. So there's Youth Engagement Society or engagementsociety.org. I believe our email is youth@engagementsociety.org. They can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, and send a message to us, and our team will respond.
Pretty active on Instagram.
Yeah, we're quite active. We're quite active. And each time I say that, we get inundated, and so my team goes, maybe we should have a number or something. It's like, no, if we need to hire people to check our pages, we can, because there's need is out there. Right. Yeah.
The young man from El Bagan has been to Jamaica on music. But has also been to many other places just impacting different government policies and all of that stuff. What has that experience been like for you?
It's been quite interesting. I remember I've been to 68 countries so far.
68 countries.
Sat with a number of heads of states, prime ministers, ministers of finance, CEOs. It's a very interesting aspect, and sometimes one of the things that you have to remain centered, right? So it doesn't get into your head, right? And humility and self-focus is a big part of it. But it's, for me, what I do in order to make sure it doesn't get into my head, I take myself back to where I've come from, where I am. I mean, when I'm going into my office and tourists are standing outside my office taking a picture of my office building, I'm like, wow, this is something, right? Because how many people can say that, you have street signs showing where your office is, and people come and they line up all day just to take pictures, right, at your office block. And you take some pictures of them, and so it creates a humbling aspect. And it's also awe-inspiring as well. I remember, the first mission I went to, finished my PhD. This was 3 months after it. We're in Croatia. It's 2013. Yeah, 2013 it was. Croatia is now part of the EU. Then they were going through the EU accession. There's a few triggers that the EU had mandated for them to do. One of them was judicial reform. So, imagine, me, young graduate sitting there, we're in a meeting, Minister of Justice, the Attorney General, and all this other, and the team lead, and, we're going around the room. It's a small group, about 5-7, and they asked me, what do you think? I'm like, huh? I just found Croatia on the map. I have no...
I don't even know too much about the country.
It's just I have no idea how
to. They need your opinion about it.
Yeah. So you have to, So it's been quite interesting, and you realize actually people are standing, listening to what you have to say,
right?
And they're using your
government leadership looking for your direction.
You're using your experiences and endeavors. I mean, and young at the time. I mean, still young, but 28 then. Just clean shaven, and literally, and that's when I started growing a beard because I used to look like a boy.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it must be. In fact, I asked myself, the young man who was in Sagana, in his wildest dreams, did he imagine he would live these kind of days?
No. Actually, I did not, and it creates an interesting aspect. Is that, and that's why I've been talking about the opportunities, and I keep going back to that because. I look at, and it also explains why I passionately believe in giving back, and why I give back so much. It's because I look at that and I thought to myself, what can I do as an individual to help others who are either less fortunate than I or may have had the same mindset and capabilities but were just denied the opportunities, right? So you take a David here and you take a Jack here and you take Mercy or whoever, and we're all the same, right? It's just one of them got an opportunity. They had the capacity for reading, intellect, everything else. And so because of that opportunity, the outcomes become completely different. And I thought to myself, surely I cannot be the only one.
Yep.
And so there's a way of doing it on giving back, but then I tied it now to a policy impact and be like, okay, how can we, make this ripple effect even bigger? So for me, it's humbling. It's sometimes I sit back and I'm like, oh wow, this is just incredible. And what I've decided on it is that I will remain as much that boy from Sagana, and by that I mean. I won't get a chip on my shoulder. I will be approachable, right? If you call me, I'll pick up. If you write to me, I will respond back, right? If you ask me for help and it's within my capability and capacity, I will help, or point you to a place that we can get help. And a lot of people think of help not just in terms of money. That's not what I'm talking about. I had a young person. Just last week, sent me a message and said, "Hey David, can you help me get a job at this such and such institution? Can you recommend me?" And I said, "Young man, I don't know you, right? So I can't write, can't write the CEO of such and such, hire this young man, recommend." And then on top of it, I think you're imagining I have a lot of power that I do not. But I said, the whole back, such as I have, I will give unto you. And I said, what I can do is that send me your CV, send me your job prospects, right? Let's go through it together. Let's strengthen it. So when opportunities come, you're well positioned, right? Tell me what areas are you looking at? And I don't know everything about this area. So if it's in IT, I connect them to someone in IT. It's like that one I can do, right? I may not be able to offer you a job, but hopefully this will lead to you being better and actually getting a job in the future. So I try to do a lot of that.
Correct. 68 countries later, many youth forums after, and all of that stuff, World Bank experiences. Our youth are listening to you today. Not all of them may be lucky enough to come into the Kenya Youth Forum. What are the 2-3 things you just want to speak to them about? And especially knowing the context of everything that they're going through. What do you want to just say to them?
So I'll say 2 things. At least I'll talk to Kenyans right now. One, we stand, 11, 12 months shy of an election.
Right.
You can make a difference by just going out and vote and casting a well-informed vote. Doesn't really matter who you vote for, just make sure it's well-informed. That's number one. And it's something that a lot of you people take for granted. You have a lot of power, right? And you sit on it, right? It's like, you have the power to make a change. If you're unhappy with something in your life, right? People are like, yeah, but how will electors do that? They do, right? And, a lot of the things that we have and policies and education are because of the people we elected. So if I want to make that change, it starts by going out to the voting booth and beginning by exercising my right to vote, following up after that. So that's point number one. Point number 2 is going back on power and resources, there are a great deal of opportunities that we have that our parents did not have, simply because of the digital age that we live in. I met a young man who I've invested in his company just last year, December 2019, who happened to be on a trip, came across some artisans. He's from the US. Came across some artisans in Kariakor who are making belts and leather. Never been interested in leather, but he goes, that's pretty cool. He went home, self-taught himself on YouTube, and now has opened a leather company making bags and handcrafts. He's still in college. He still has 2.5 years left, but he has a full-fledged business that was completely self-taught from YouTube. I took him to Sagana Tannery and a few other places, and they were so impressed. It's the first time he had been to a tannery, but what he's talking about, what he's asking them to provide, the guys are like, were you born in the leather industry? He's like, no, I've just been doing it 6 months.
And so
right?
self-taught.
Self-taught. YouTube, right? He goes, I've never seen vegetable tanned leather, but I know how to make it, right? And this is what I want you to do. So there's a lot of that capacity in terms of being self-taught. Two, pointing on that is that one of the advantages that we have is that though we're very locally centered, we have a huge impact at a global scale. Whether that's economically or in other ways, that we're able to reach and grasp for things that, our parents could never have imagined simply by the aspect of technologies. So I tell a lot of young people, it's like, I know we lament the aspect of jobs. I may not be able to create the jobs. Even the government may not be able to create the jobs. Private sector themselves may not be able to create the jobs. But I, myself, as an individual, can make a difference in the job aspects that I want. A lot of people say, yeah, but I don't have the capital or the resources. And I said, there's a lot more to capital than the financial part of it, right? This young man who I was talking about was just purely research. And, but you'll get back, but I don't have the bundles, right? You'll always get back to a particular excuse, right? But it has to come to a particular point, right? And that application and applying yourself, right, collectively or in other ways, can really have a huge impact on the framework of your mentality, but also the choices that you make. So going back on this example that I'm giving is that through the comfort of my living room in Kiambu or in Machakos or in whatever, I can sell a product to someone who's sitting on their living room in Texas or in France. Why? Because Amazon, Shopify, and all these marketplaces that have been opened up. On top of it, we have great craftsmen, right? A lot of this stuff, you don't even have to hold the stock in yourself, right? You can be an intermediator. So what I say is that I encourage a lot of young people to go in, right, and look champion at this digital age that we live in and see what can they do. You may not be a millionaire, for sure, and a vast majority of us will not be, but we can definitely be able to put food on the table without economic strain, and it's possible. So some, being in Kenya, a lot of college students are writing papers for others, right? There's an ethical aspect wrong with that, and I was telling young people, look, if your gift is writing, you don't have to write illegal papers for someone. There are organizations and websites like Fiverr and so forth that are dying to have someone peer review or read content that they need to publish, because we live in the digital age, right? So you can get paid $5 an hour, which is 500 Kenya shillings an hour, to proofread a document before someone puts it on the website, right? And they're there. There are so many of them there, right? So when it comes to jobs, we have to think outside the box on this. So it's just having the
inquisitive mind to find out which are those sites, where they found and all.
So I was telling him, act locally because you're here, but think globally, right? You have to be very well connected to the global aspect and a global framework. And there are remarkable amount of opportunities out there.
Correct. And I think that inquisitive mind that just keeps checking out and looking out, away from excuses, I think becomes an important one.
No, you have to. You have to have, there has to be an intrinsic drive of inquisitiveness. One, because that's how invention is it. The figure of speech, necessity is the mother of all invention, right? You can incentivize yourself to be inquisitive. Why? Because there's a clear line. At the very least, you get knowledge, right? Which is at the very least, right? You get knowledge,
which builds into your asset.
Which builds into your asset, right? But more than likely, you will find something. You will. I can guarantee you will either find an opportunity. You will find. I remember I have a good friend of mine. His name is Tatenda. He's actually going to be coming here next month. He's a Rhodes Scholar. an Ayali Fellow, right? The Young Obama Leaders Initiative, and he's also a World Bank Blogs for Development winner, right? And I asked him, Tatenda, how are you so accomplished? And he goes, it's because I didn't have anything, so I applied for everything, right? And so we see this big three, the Rhodes Scholarship, the Ayali, and the World Bank Blogs for Development. And I was like, but what people are missing is that I have probably submitted 500 applications, right? Cast a net, right? Cast a net. You will get something, right? You're not fishing on the Dead Sea, right? At the very least, you'll get seaweed, which can be made into sushi.
The net must have something.
Right. So you will get something.
Right. But as we bring this to a close, man, you and the family, you've been very, very connected at your family level, man. I think you guys are very close as a family.
We're very, very close, right? And it's interesting because Kenyans in general have close family structures. I mean, in comparison to the US, right? And then we are like this outlier within the Kenyans who are just remarkably close. A large part of it is just being in a foreign land, which just brings you really together. Two, leveraging each other's opportunities. So, and it's one of the reasons we have been able to go so far, right? Either financially or elsewhere, right? I mean, I remember just my dissertation. It wasn't my dissertation alone. As soon as I finished it, I sent it to my sister, proofread chapter 2. To my father, proofread chapter 3. And they do it like it's their own. If they hadn't done it, right, I've been spending the midnight oil doing it myself. And it's that particular aspect in that, and they know that when they push me, right, they themselves are making progress, right? There's the intrinsic value of like being able to say, oh, my brother graduated. But then there's the aspect of like, I'm doing this because I know my brother will in also return, do it for me, no questions asked.
Absolutely. I mean, I could almost imagine there's a lot of impact that your family has had in you just being who you are.
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, I finished my PhD. If I was alone, I probably wouldn't have finished. I was kept thinking if I didn't have any family, if nobody knew me, I would have quit. I would have quit a long time ago because this thing was very difficult. I did it, because of them. And there are a lot of things that I do. I was like, man, hapa sitapita kwa sababu what if my mom had, right? Right?
Keeps you on the straight and narrow.
Keeps you on the straight, right? It's like, even if
just come and thump you out.
Even the hongo, I was like, I know if I told my mom when she found out that I paid a bribe, right? That would be another conversation in itself. So I can even tell the mom, the cop was like, listen, mama yangu aliniambia mimi nisikatoe hongo. Right? And then that's it.
Fantastic. And also a family of your own now.
Yes, I got married a year ago to a very lovely young lady. Her name is Cecilia. Cecilia Wachira now, formerly Cecilia Lawson. Yeah, she's Norwegian and American and Kenyan now. So she is, in fact, she spent a good bit of last week in Kariakor. She's very Kenyan. She goes to places that I never imagined. Great
stuff. And I'm told a very great photographer.
Yeah, she's she would like you because you're having a lot of Canons. And no, she's an amazing photographer. She actually, one of the reasons why she went back is she was doing the PGA tour in DC. But yeah, no, she more does portrait and lifestyle photography. But she's done sports, Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, to name a few. US presidents, celebrities. She does weddings. She and now in Kenya, she does a lot of nature photography, which she really loves.
On the Premier League, which is her team?
So she's a Man U fan, like me.
She must be very excited that CR is back.
Yeah, when she did the headshots for Liverpool, and I wasn't very happy. I was like, can you make him not look so good? Like.
Don't tell too good a story.
Don't tell too good a story. Yeah, no, we're happy that CR7 is back. I'm happy, right? So it's good. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
David, I want to thank you so much.
The pleasure is all mine.
So much to learn from you. I mean, you're a great inspiration.
Thank you so much. So I like the work that you're doing. I hope that you continue to reach as many people as you are, and I love the professionalism that you have.
Thank you.
It's very, very, very good. And I know it goes to show that you can be Kenyan and professional, because a lot of us, we have sometimes this mindset of like, no, there's always a Kenyeji that will, I'll either be late or I'll do this or I'll cut corners, and you see, sure, no. there's nothing, mutually exclusive about being a professional.
Absolutely.
And being a Kikuyu, being a professional, and I can go to Mashambani and I can still be a professional in what I do.
Absolutely.
And clearly you've shown that. It makes me very happy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And keep making the difference you're making. Keep inspiring our youth.
Certainly.
We will definitely keep referring to you many more times. I think.
Thank you. I would.
Together, like-mindedness, we build a greater community.
Oh, for sure.
And I think we owe it to our generations and the generations behind us.
We do.
I think one of the most powerful things I've heard you talk about is the fact that then you can plant a tree whose shade you may never enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's actually a futuristic look.
Yeah.
And just saying, man, it's not just about me. Our society becomes greater when then we take care.
Yes.
Of beyond myself.
Yes. Very, very true. Very
I wish
true.
we had more like you.
I think there are a lot more. Maybe I'm just the one who got the opportunity to be seen.
We're just going to tell them to stand up and then let's be like
stand up and be counted.
Stand up and get counted.
For sure.
Man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man. So appreciated.
Thank you
so much.
Asante sana.
Well, folks, I hope you picked a lot of what we've talked about today, and I hope you have a whole lot of lessons. We can make a difference, and we cannot be helpless. We've got to then take the destiny in our own hands and remember to plant a tree that will cover and shed way more people than yourself. We've been talking to Dr. David Wachira. He's been to 68 countries, so you can be sure the wisdom he shares is really broad and has been informed by so many experiences. But above all, I think the passion just to come back home and invest in our own people and remind them that they can be anything they desire to be, to create the linkages that bring the mental pictures and the visual journeys of where we want to go is absolutely powerful. And the question is, in your greatness, whose candle do you want to light up? Who do you want to inspire? Whose hands do you want to hold, and who do you want to shelter in your journey of greatness? Don't just become a gold mine alone, but pull others along as well. And let's build a great community of gold mines, man. It's been great just coming to you. Want to remind you to follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, as well as on YouTube. And let's together build a great community of the gold mine family. Until next time, God bless you and keep becoming the greatness that you truly are.